I grew up in, although my father's from Mangalore, he went to Canara High School. I grew up mostly in Delhi. And growing up in Delhi, I did my high school. Um, I, After high school, I took my IIT, JEE, I took all the entrance exams, and all I could get was into Hindu College in Delhi University. And the first 2 years of college, I didn't study at all. I used to bunk classes. I was a very average student. And then third year college came, and I grew up in the 1980s, before liberalization. So when you graduated from college in our years, getting a job was almost impossible. And that was before the startup era, where you could start up and do an entrepreneurial thing. I think in those days we didn't even think about such things. So in my third year of college, I suddenly woke up and I realized I had to study hard to get somewhere in life and to do something. So I spent my third year of college studying essentially for the IIMs, but also I had a very good friend in college who helped me with 3 years of college notes so that I could succeed in my final exams in college. And thanks to her help, my third year of college, I got very good marks. All her notes were very helpful. She used to attend all the classes I never did. So I rewarded her by marrying her, and she's she's now my wife for 25 years, and we have two children who are your age, both in college, and my children never listen to me. So I'm going to take a selfie of me with 600 of you and show it to my kids that there are other kids that are willing to listen to me. So anyway, jokes apart, I wanted to tell you a little about my story after that. So after my third year of college, I managed to get admission into IIM Ahmedabad, and I did my MBA there. In 1989, after an MBA degree from IIM Ahmedabad, the starting salary used to be 3,000 rupees per month. Yes, I know most of you are thinking that's very long time back. 3,000 rupees per month. And with a starting salary of 3,000 rupees per month, my first job was at a company called Asian Paints. And Asian Paints, the first job they did was they sent me to Bombay, which I had no family, no friends in Bombay. And I had to go and live in Bombay, find my own accommodation, and work for 1 year in Bombay. So two of us found one room in a slum behind Bandra, which we could afford because it was impossible to get housing those days. We used to sleep on the floor with a mattress. So when Shama talked about her straw mat, I could relate to that. I did that in my first year of work. And we used to get up at 6 in the morning, take a bus from that place to Bandra station. From Bandra station, we took a train to Churchgate. From Churchgate, we took another bus to our office, which was in Nariman Point. It would take us 1.5 hours to get to work. Evening, we would come back, come home by about 6:37, or leave office at 7 o'clock, come home by 9 o'clock. And we'd have to then find some place to eat food. And then we'd go and play squash at a public squash court in Andheri from Bandra. And we'd come back at about 11 o'clock at night. The purpose of telling you this story is just to say that you all are studying hard and you're going to start working. Even when you start working, no matter how good your first job is, no matter how good your education is, no matter how good how much you earn, life continues to be hard even after you start working, life will continue to be hard. You have to continue to work hard in order to get ahead or get where you want to go to. So anyway, so after my Asian Paints experience in Bombay, I worked in Pune, then I moved to ITC. ITC sent me to Hyderabad, and then I joined Coca-Cola in 1998. So I want to tell you a small story about joining Coca-Cola. In 98, I joined Coke and uh, I launched this brand called Sprite. Any of you heard of Sprite? Yes. So I launched this brand called Sprite, and when I launched it, I was a brand manager. At that time, no one had heard of Sprite in India. And the head of marketing at that time in Coca-Cola wanted somebody to take on the challenge of launching Sprite in India. And said, when he asked me, and I said, okay, I'll do it. Most people said, ye nahi chalega. So again, today morning's discussions, they said, India mein log sirf limca piyenge. People will only have limca. And Sprite will not succeed. So I spent 3 months working on the launch of Sprite. And we were very lucky that we had a great ad agency at that time. They came up with this tagline called Bujhai Only Pyas, Baki All Bakwas. And that campaign was so successful that Sprite within the first year became a big success in India. And because it became a big success and Sprite was a global brand, the global brand team called up the India team and said, who's the brand manager who has launched Sprite? We are very happy with the launch. So one day my boss came to me and he said, Atlanta wants to hire you. So I was surprised. I said, oh, wow, okay. So I got a call from Atlanta and I was told, there's a job for you in Atlanta. And so my efforts at launching Sprite and taking up a challenge that nobody else was willing to take paid off with a job in Atlanta. And so I flew down to Atlanta. My wife and my 2 little kids, 2 years and 4 years old, got the flight, landed in Atlanta. I moved in October. They joined me in November. Our household goods were all packed up. And they were in the container on a ship to Atlanta. And I had a job in global marketing as global brand manager for new products. Within 1 week of landing in Atlanta, the chairman of the company was fired and a new chairman came. The new chairman came and decided that he wanted to cut the headcount in Atlanta. And so he told all the people in the Atlanta office that you are all without a job today, and in 1 month's time, only half of you will remain. So I had left India. My whole family was very proud that their son had gone to Atlanta. And suddenly in December, first week of December, my boss called me in and he gave me a letter saying, your job does not exist anymore. And you will find out after 30 days whether you have another job. Otherwise, you have to go back to India. So you can imagine the situation that I was in. Young kids, wife, stuff is not yet reached in a new country alone. So at that time, I took the decision, which I think is probably the best decision I ever took in my life. Every other person in the office, Americans, us, a few of us Indians, there were people from Latin America, there were people from Europe, people from every sector, thousands of people in the head office, were all out looking for jobs, calling up their people that they know in the company, trying to, find themselves a role in the new company. I decided fate. I think somebody talked about fate. The brigadier talked about fate. I said, look, I cannot change what the world does to me, but I can control what I do right now. So for the next 1 month, I focused on the job that I was given, which is to develop a model for portfolio management. And I said, before I get fired, I will finish this portfolio management tool and I will present it to the chief marketing officer. If he likes it, I keep my job. If he doesn't like it, I anyway lose my job. 15th of January, so I spent the whole Christmas, New Year's break when everybody else was out vacationing like they do in the West. I spent that time working hard on finishing this portfolio management tool. And on the 15th of January, I presented it to the chief marketing officer. He loved it. It was very well received. And the advantage was that I had done a little bit of maths and Excel and all that. I knew something about modeling that I learned. So I was able to do a good job with the model. On 26th Jan, I still remember the date, 26th January 2000, one by one, all the people were called into the offices of the big bosses. And half of them were given a pink slip and told to leave. They would come out crying and leave. I was called in. I had my heart in my mouth. And I was told, you have done such a good job in the last 1 month. You not only retained your job, we are promoting you. And so I went back home and I had the best Republic Day present ever. And since then, I've never had to look back in the company. The purpose of telling you the story is that in life, you will all face challenges. All of you are going to face huge challenges in life. But the way to deal with challenges, there are two ways people deal with them. Some people give up. Actually, three ways. Some people give up, some people complain, and some people just put their head down and move on and work hard and get over that. The lesson I learned from that was no matter what life throws at you, if you persevere and people see you persevering, you will always be rewarded for it, if not right away, eventually at some time or the other. So that was my experience and my learning. And when I heard the morning speakers today, there were so many similarities. There were so many similarities in what I heard people talk about, whether it be mistakes or how you deal with failure or how you persevere, and how no matter where you begin, where you go is up to you. You are all very lucky that you're born in a day and an age where you can be global leaders. Most of us grew up in an India which was socialist and we never saw the world. Today with the internet, today with India having progressed so much, almost all of you are going to have global careers. Almost all of you will at some stage or the other have the opportunity to shine in the world, not in Bangalore, not in India, not in Karnataka, but in the world. And I want all of you to remember, thanks to Coca-Cola, I've had the opportunity to work with people from all countries and all walks of life. And I've traveled to 55 countries. There's nobody smarter and nobody harder working than the Indians. Nobody smarter, nobody harder working than every one of you have come here. Every one of you have come here in spite of your backgrounds and in spite of your circumstances. Most of the rest of the world is born with privileges and opportunities that came to them very easily. You heard Shama's story. You heard the Brigadier's story. All of us have had to struggle to get to where we are. And that struggle makes us stronger. That struggle makes all of you stronger. When I went to the US, and I'm again going to give you some of my personal experiences. When I went to the US, I used to feel very underconfident. I'm sure many of you have that experience. Standing on stage like this, Standing on stage like this was a big scary experience for me. It still is. But at least in those days, I wasn't as well trained to deal with it. I used to deal with um, colleagues who grew up in school and in college and my children went to school in America. And what I learned was, from fifth standard onwards, they are taught how to stand up and speak. They are taught how to present. They are taught how to articulate their thoughts confidently. With 50% of the information, they project 100% of the confidence. The problem with us, most of us from India, is that we have 100% of the knowledge, but we have 50% of the confidence when we talk. And what I learned through my years over there, I enrolled myself in a program for public speaking. And it was a very difficult program, but I wanted to learn how do I communicate the way that they do in the West. And the best program I ever attended, the best learning I ever got, was not math, science, management, technology. The best training I ever got was communication skills. And if there's one investment you can all make in your personal development, that will make a big difference to your success on the world stage, it is how to communicate. Because it doesn't help if you have brilliant ideas in your head and you don't have the ability to go and sell that idea to an audience who hears 20 ideas from 20 people. So, the second thing that I'm going to leave with you, apart from managing challenges, is develop yourself and develop your confidence and your communication skills. The third thing I want to talk about is something that came up in the morning about doing what you love. Doing what you passionately love doing. I want an honest response from all of you. How many of you have known since you were very young that you want to be an engineer for the rest of your life? Less than 5%? So how many of you here passionately love being engineers? A few of you. The rest of you, right, don't despair. You heard the story of Boman Irani. You heard the story of Boman Irani. You heard so many stories. Some of us are lucky that we find the love of our life. You know, you find your girlfriend and you get married and you love each other for the rest of your life. Most people end up in arranged marriages, right? But you still end up loving your partner because you get to know your partner and you find good things in your partner. So, my advice to most people is, you may not be able to choose your job or your career because you will end up in a job or career that opportunities present themselves to you. But what you can choose to do is wherever you land up in life, whether you land up in IT, or you land up in marketing, or if you land up in accounting, or in finance, or in engineering, if you find a way to love what you do every day, if you find a way to be passionate and love what you do every day, then you don't need work-life balance because work will become your life. If you love what you do every day, work will become the love of your life. If you hate what you do every day, you will be working from morning 8 a.m. till evening 8 p.m., which is more than 2/3 of your waking life. And if you spend 2/3 of your waking life for 30 years, you're spending nearly half your life doing something you hate. So, Make sure that you either do what you love or you learn to love what you do. And that's the only way you're going to have a very fulfilling life where you don't have to worry about work-life balance. I'll give my personal experience. I started working in Asian Paints. I moved to ITC. First, I was selling paints. In ITC, I was selling edible oils. In both cases, I loved working in the companies. I enjoyed myself. And then I joined Coca-Cola in 1998. It's nearly 20 years now, as I'm still with Coca-Cola. And the reason I'm still with Coca-Cola and the reason why I believe I've been able to have a fulfilling and successful career there is because I wake up every morning loving what I do. And I love what I do because I have exciting brands to work with. I love what I do because I work for a company that is very ethical and does a lot of good for society. And I love what I do because I work with people that are wonderful and I have great relationships at work. But all of that happened because I persevered with it and I learned to love what I do. I learned what I love about the company. And because I stayed, and I think again you heard earlier, jumping jobs every 2 years, I've never seen anyone with a successful career there. But if you love what you do and you really make a big contribution to whichever company or whichever career or whichever startup you choose to go with, you will always be successful. You'll always be successful because you're going to have a very fulfilling life and a fulfilling career. So do what you love, and if you don't have the choice of doing what you love, then learn to love what you do, is my third lesson. And then finally, my last piece of advice for you is, it's an amazing world out there. It's an amazing world out there. And all of you start with the raw material to go and be a successful leader in the world. All of you start with the raw materials. No single life story, whether my life story or whether Sonia's life story or anybody else's life story you've heard today, is going to be your life story. Your life story is your unique story. Don't ever spend life comparing yourself with what the other person is doing or how far the other person has gone or how much the other person is earning. Okay. One of my bosses told me a very good piece of advice. When I went to complain to him that, I have spent 10 years after my MBA and there are other people who are younger than me who have got higher pay and higher promotions, and that, I used to complain that I'm not getting promoted as fast as the others. He said, if you never worry about your designation or your destination, just focus on doing a good job today, good things will happen. So, after, of course, I heard that, I didn't listen to him, but then after a few experiences in life, what I realized was that in life, you're racing against yourself. Again, I'll go back to what you heard in the morning. Shama said, set your own standards for excellence. Set your own standards for excellence and compete against yourself. It's called excelling. When you, every day in the morning, wake up and decide that you will be better today than you were yesterday, you will go much further in life and you will be much happier than if you wake up every day in the morning, look at the next fellow and say, I want to be better than him or her. So focus on yourself, focus on improving and excelling at what you do, and don't worry about what anybody else does. And you'll find yourself happier, but you'll also find that you will succeed a lot more in life at what you choose to do. And somebody else may succeed at what they choose to do. So excel, don't compete. So, what I've spent in the last 20 years of career at Coke is focusing on what I do well every day and not worrying about what the other person does. I know we have a long-standing competition with Pepsi, so I have got to tell you that I don't look at what Pepsi does. I focus on what we can do better. And by focusing on what we can do better, we are able to grow in the marketplace and gain market share. But if I constantly spend my time worrying about what Pepsi is doing and copying what they're doing, right, we will never succeed. So focus on what you can do well, excel, don't compete, and you'll be very successful in life. So those are some lessons that I have learned in my life and my career. I know that this is the post-lunch session, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking. I want to hear from you and hear questions from you. So from my side, it's a huge honor and a humbling experience to be here. One, with 600 of you as an audience. Secondly, with people like Mr. Mohandas Pai here, who I consider my guru and my mentor. So it's a big honor for me to be here and a big honor to be amongst the other distinguished guests. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to me. And I throw it open to questions from you.
Thank you so much, sir, for inspiring us all with your wonderful talk. After your talk, I'm sure the audience has many questions for you. So now we open the session for question and answers.
There's a question over here. And anyone else has questions, raise your hands. I'll pick you out from the crowd.
I want to ask you, we are hearing success stories for graduates from IIM Ahmedabad. You are a graduate from that. What is so special when you compare IIM Ahmedabad with other business schools in India? What do you think, what is special in IIM Ahmedabad? Can you explain?
So I'll tell you there's nothing special about IIM Ahmedabad. There is nothing special about IIM Ahmedabad. IIM Ahmedabad, in my days, I think today it's more, in my days, 180 students used to get into IIM Ahmedabad every year. Right? And India has 1.2 billion people today. We have more than 180 brilliant, smart, hardworking, passionate people. It's just that 180 were lucky to have the opportunities in life that allowed them to take that CAT entrance exam, and they had the aptitude to do that entrance exam well, and they got it. My best managers in Coca-Cola right now, two of my best managers, don't have an MBA degree. One has an engineering degree, the other one doesn't even have an engineering degree. So there is nothing special about MBAs or IIM. Our experience has been the best people are the ones with the best attitudes, not with the best education, or of course, they've all had to learn, as somebody said earlier, you have to learn in school. But attitude is far more important than degrees. So yes, IIM Ahmedabad students tend to do slightly better because they had the attitude of hard work to get them in there. And so chances are that there's a higher proportion of them that will do well in life. And also because companies tend to think that they'll get good students over there. But we have found very good students in many other business schools and even in non-business schools. Any other questions there? There's one over there. And I promise you I'll answer any questions about Coca-Cola. I didn't talk much about Coke, but I can answer questions about Coke or about myself.
Hello sir, I'm Nitish Nayak. Sir, you mentioned about Indians are better compared to other countries. You have been more than 50 countries. So still industry needs something from the students. As a fresher, they need, there is a gap between industry standards and the present students coming out. What do you think about that, sir?
Thank you. That's a good question there. See, I think a lot of students coming out of college have spent many years focusing on competitive academics. Competitive academics, which essentially means you learn to take tests, or you practice taking tests and you score high on your tests. But learning and true skills comes from the ability to apply that. and we don't spend enough time and energy on application of that knowledge. And also, all your life in school and in college, you're competing against the other person as an individual. When you come to work, you have to cooperate and collaborate with others in teams. And so those are two things that happen. One is practical application of what you learn, and the second is going from an individual competitor to a team collaborator. Those two things is what we find we have to retrain people when they come to work. Even when we hire from the IIMs, people who've done an MBA degree, we spend 18 months training them to be successful and effective in corporate world. Because our education system really focuses on individual academic excellence. So hopefully that. Question over there?
Good afternoon, sir. So my name is Puneet. You just said that do what you love and love what you do. Doing what you love is easy, sir, but how to love what you do?
Always look for the positives. Always look for the positives. It's very easy to have an impression of an ideal job or an ideal career. It doesn't exist. Just as there's no perfect match made for you. Every relationship, you have to adjust and the other person has to adjust. In every relationship, you have to see the good in the other person. And if you can learn to see the good in the other person, or you can learn to see the good in the job that you have, right? And if you say, I will, whatever job I'm given, whatever role I'm given, and I'll give an example. If somebody says, your job for the next 1 week is to make chai and serve it to the managing director. That is your job. There are 3 ways of dealing with it. You can quit and go, or you can give terrible chai and complain all the time and say, kya naukri hai? What job have I been given? Or you can say, I will serve such good chai every day that the managing director will say, wow, ye chai kaun bana raha hai? 3 ways to deal with it. And every day you enjoy the challenge of making tea so well and looking at the look of the managing director's face when they take that sip of chai and they say, wow, ye very good chai. So whatever you end up with, there are situations where you will have to give up because things just don't work out, or better opportunities will come. But every morning when you wake up, if you focus on what can I do really well with whatever job I have been given, you will be noticed and you will rise. You may choose to move on somewhere else because you get a better opportunity. But don't do a bad job today because you feel that this is the wrong job for you. That's my only advice. I've practiced that because I have had jobs that nobody else wanted to take. When I went to Atlanta, I remember at one point of time, I was made the head of marketing for bottled water. Bottled water is not, I wanted to be head of marketing for Coca-Cola. They said, no, you go run water. Everybody else that got that job used to either quit or say, I'll do it for 1 or 2 years and I'll go. I decided I'll become the world's expert on bottled water. And I spent time learning and contributing on bottled water, so much so that the company kept me in that job for 5 years. They said, aur kisi ko pata nahi hai. Nobody else knows about bottled water. This fellow knows enough. Let's keep him there. So, if you take whatever job you get and you do a really good job at it, no matter how insignificant it may seem, somebody is going to notice you and good things will happen. So that's my only advice. And how to love it is just enjoy it as a challenge and take it up as a challenge. I will make it better every day.